Hi guys, good morning, welcome back. My name is Alexis and I am a final year PhD student here in Hawaii studying biological oceanography. And today I wanted to share how I plan my week as a PhD student. So as you may know, if you're a graduate student already or if you're someone that is interested in graduate school, this video might be helpful to see how us grad students structure our time or manage our time week by week and kind of day by day, depending on what it is we have to get done. And it really does vary by week. Because I'm a late stage PhD student, I'm in my final year, which means that I'm not taking courses, so I don't have very many meeting times that are set each week, maybe with the exception of regular meetings with my PI. But for the most part, my schedule is wide open and it's up to me to put some structure into there, which is usually in this stage spending some time writing, reading, working on papers, editing papers, or doing data analysis. So depending on where you're at in your program, what stage you're in, your flexibility in your schedule might be a little bit different, but I think this is a good framework for anyone in a PhD program or actually any student for how to structure their weeks. So the first step is that I begin with looking at my appointments or meetings that I have scheduled for this week. This is important because you want to make sure that those standing appointments or meetings are in your calendar, whichever system you're using. I really like using Google Calendar, so as soon as something comes up, as soon as I schedule an appointment with someone or a meeting with someone, I put it right into my calendar, usually on my phone, because I have the app on my phone, but sometimes on my computer too. And that is what works best for me. You can kind of decide what works best for you. There's a ton of other options like, I don't know, Apple Calendar. You can even use Notion, but I prefer Google Calendar for things like that. So I'll quickly look at my meetings that I have planned for this week. Monday's open. Tuesday I have this workshop which is about authoring and publishing for graduate students hosted by the university, so I wanted to try to make that. It's a Zoom session. It's already in my calendar with the Zoom link. No meetings Wednesday or Thursday, so very open, which is great. And Friday again is a meeting day, so I usually have meetings with my advisor Fridays. So I have that in the calendar for about an hour, and then again I'm doing some help setting up for a lab, practical, in the afternoon. So I think that's all of my meetings for the week. They're already in there. I don't have to stress about that too much since it's already in my calendar system. But now is a good time if you have any sort of notebook or things where you take notes of important things. Sometimes it's a notebook, sometimes it's also my phone, but I'll just take a look in there to make sure there wasn't anything that I'm forgetting. So yeah, I usually have brain dump list or just giant to-do list here of things that I should be focusing on. And yeah, I'm not really seeing anything else. So that's it, but just make sure that you have all of your appointments and meetings in there on your calendar so that you don't miss them. Okay, so now that you have your appointments and meetings in order in your calendar, you know that you're not going to forget them. That's amazing. So the next step is to think about any deadlines that you might have due this week that you should keep in mind. So these deadlines, if they're really important, I try to put them into my calendar system on Google Calendar, but sometimes I just have a physical notebook where I take note of this needs to be done by this date, or a rough deadline. Sometimes they're firm deadlines that are set by other people. Sometimes they're more flexible or less strict deadlines that I've set by myself. So for example, I know one of my plans for this week was to finish my data analysis for these ZOSCAN images. The ZOSCAN is not done yet, so I'm kind of scrapping this deadline because I'm not in a position to meet this deadline. There's other things that are taking priority right now, so I'll just delete this prepare ZOSCAN tables from my schedule for this week. And honestly, it's a pretty open week. This week, there's no crazy deadlines that I need to meet. The only deadline that I can really think of for this week is that I am a co-author on a paper, and I know that the lead author wants to submit this paper, I'm pretty sure sometime this week. I don't have a good idea of the date. That's kind of up to the lead author, but I do know that there is some work that I need to get done before this can be submitted. So that is my only deadline, and I'll just call it for like by end of the week, all of this stuff should be done with for him. Okay, so moving forward, as I mentioned, this isn't a super crazy week as far as meetings and deadlines go. Kind of just those 2 meetings, 1 main deadline, and then we can get into looking at next high priority things that I should be working on given those deadlines and upcoming weeks. Okay, so now that I have a good idea of my meetings for the week, other appointments, and certain deadlines for this week, the next step is to go back at like my brain dump list or my to-do list or wherever you have your notes on what it is that needs to get done the next few days. Maybe it's your calendar too or your Notion. Take a look and try to figure out what it is you're supposed to be prioritizing for this week as well as the next few weeks. So maybe you have a presentation coming up in 2 weeks, but you know that you need to give a practice presentation next week. Then that's something you want to keep in mind for determining what it is I should be working on this week. This could be many things. It could be I want to submit this paper down the line. I'm not at the writing stage yet, but I know that the most important thing that I should be doing is this data analysis. Or maybe you want to apply for funding down the road. That's a later deadline, but one thing that you could do is start working on your CV. So this can look like many different things depending where you are in your PhD program. If you're taking courses and you have like finals, maybe the action is just I need to study this and this for this exam. But yeah, going back to my notes, I know it's really important that I work on this manuscript this week and get that done. But I also know that I have some upcoming things in the later weeks. So for example, if I move forward to next week, I have to start writing this presentation because I'm giving a practice presentation next Friday, but I'm not writing the talk till next week, so I don't really have to worry about that now. I have to review another paper, give some comments next week, and I'm forgetting that there's something else I want to do on the 12th. I'll just add it here in my calendar for now because I know that it needs to be done. Application. Okay, so I also want to have this application done sometime next week. Let me add this in. Okay, so I know next week is going to be a very busy week with writing my talk, as well as reviewing this paper, which should take like a few hours, and then working on this application. The following week, I have the actual presentation. It's a 2-day like symposium, departmental. So I know that's like an important thing coming up. I need to write this talk. It's departmental, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I want to make sure that all of my data and things that I'm going to be presenting are ready to go. And they mostly are, but there's one portion that is still in the works. So My highest priority items for this week, I'm gonna write them down so I don't forget, but the first thing is going to be to get this co-authored manuscript done with, get them everything that they need so they can submit. That's the first highest priority item. And the second is that I know I have this presentation coming up. I know that I want to submit this manuscript soon, and the most important task that I finish up is called this ecotaxa thing where I'm sorting zooplankton images. So I'll put ecotaxa validation is what it is. So those are like the 1 and 2 most important things that I should be working on to kind of like move forward in my program and with what I have coming up. There are other things that I could be working on, like I know I want to have this application for this fellowship done by February 12th, which is next week. So maybe I could spend some time this week working on it so that I can have an easier week next week, because next week's pretty heavy with the talk and reviewing this paper. Yeah, I can even review the paper this week, get that done. How do I want to do this? Yeah, sometimes it's just choosing between the highest priority task, you know? I think the paper is a little bit higher priority, so let's say I'm gonna have some comments for the paper this week. And also going along with this, I know that YouTube is a priority for me. We want to release weekly videos on Wednesday, so maybe this is actually more of a deadline, but I want to get that video and editing slots also in my calendar. So that's what I'm going to start doing now. Once I have an idea of the things that I want to be prioritizing for this week, so the manuscript, ecotaxa, and YouTube things, then I can go ahead and start scheduling these around my meetings and other things that are already in my calendar. So Monday, it's a blank open day, plenty of time. It is 9 right now, so I'll go ahead and say from 10 to 12 is going to be, now let's say 10 to 1, 3 hours is going to be a deep work session. All right, for now I don't know what it's going to be, so I'll just keep it this color. And maybe I want a little break for lunch, so I'll say from 2 to 5 is another deep work session. This deep work just comes from a Cal Newport book called Deep Work, and he kind of separates shallow work, which doesn't require much focus and like intensity, versus deep work that requires more focus. It's like high intensity focus. And yeah, a lot of PhD things that we do, like data analysis, writing, this requires a ton of focus, less distractions, no multitasking, as opposed to things like emailing, which is pretty shallow work. So deep work session, I'll put that in there. I don't know exactly what it's going to be right now, but I'll just put it in as a general time period. Tomorrow, Tuesday, I'll say from 8, I'm not filming a video, so I'll say from 8 to 12, I have time to work on something. During my meeting, I'll probably take notes, but I'll probably eat my lunch during that Zoom. And then again, I'll put like 2 to 5, deep work. So I start out pretty broad just to get a sense of how my week is looking. This week it's very easy because it's very open. Yes, how else am I going to schedule? Okay, I know here a video goes live, so I'll add that. And honestly, this should just be recurring like every week, so I'll change that to like simplify it for me a little. Repeats weekly on Wednesday. Weekly uploads for you guys. Which means that Monday night, so I'll put, oh, I also know that I'm going Costco shopping tonight, so I'll put that in for maybe like, I don't know, 5 to 6:30. I'll put Costco shopping and errands. I guess from like 7 to 9, I'll put YouTube rough cuts. I really should have done editing this weekend, but I didn't, so I kind of messed it up for myself and have to spend both nights, Monday night and Tuesday night, editing that video. but that's okay, I think. So YouTube, edit, and post video. It should be a fun video, so I'm kind of excited to edit it. Okay, so those 2 days are done. The next day, Wednesday, I don't really have to do any YouTube work in the morning. So I'll say again, this could be a deep work session, and then maybe another one here. I tend to be most focused in the morning or a little bit after lunch, so this works well for me. Thursday, same thing. It's kind of repetitive. And again here, deep work. And Friday is a little bit different because I'll be going to campus for my meetings, which means when I go to campus, I like to also stop by the gym, get in a little workout in the morning so I can use the gym. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put that in my calendar right now. So let's say like sometime in the morning, gym. And maybe I want to do, I don't have to specify now, but I'll say arms for now. And that I put as fun. In between my meeting with my advisor and setting up, I'll probably do some like shallower work here. Because there's not that much time. And then because I leave campus early to pick up Mishi from work on those days, I have like maybe an hour of like really tiny shallow work at the end of the day. So yeah, lots of time for deep work. And I think this is one of the struggles being a late stage PhD student, is that you have all of this time and no structure, oftentimes no hard deadlines. So you're kind of just, if you don't plan it, you can just spend a lot of time doing things that maybe aren't important or don't really move you closer to the goals and like milestones that you want to meet. So setting like soft deadlines or kind of firm deadlines for yourself could be really helpful. So now I'll go back to those deep work sessions that I scheduled and make them either manuscript work or ecotaxa. So I'm gonna say today is going to be work on manuscript because like I said, this is a bit higher priority, so I wanna get it done as soon as possible. I'll probably just dedicate the whole day to this. Because we want to get this done as soon as possible. So today will be a whole manuscript day. Tomorrow, I kind of want to get back into ecotaxa, so I'll say tomorrow is going to be ecotaxa in the morning. I'll also say ecotaxa in the evening, but if I end up having any changes that I need to do for the manuscript, I know that this can be flipped for like another day. So ecotaxa, Wednesday, I might make this a flex period. And down here, I'll put ecotaxa. Thursday will probably be ecotaxa. And maybe Thursday evening, I want to work on reviewing that manuscript in order to get a little bit off of my plate for next week. So kind of just looking ahead. And I realized next week, writing my talk would be a lot easier if I didn't have to also review this paper and apply for something else. So I'll add this in for Thursdays to review Matthew's paper, reading and writing. And shallow work here. Honestly, I'll probably do ecotaxa in between. I have a lot of ecotaxa work to do, so I just try to fill up any space with it till it's done. And for this hour, maybe I can revise my CV, which is also for that funding application that I'm trying to put together for the following week. So smaller task, shouldn't take me that much time, just moving things a little bit. Okay, so I think in general, this is what my week's gonna look like given the things that I wanna prioritize. So you can see the purple is like the reading and writing, the papers. Data analysis or like data things, sometimes lab work is also in gray. Blue is just kind of like my default color, so that doesn't have a set category. I'm using it as a flex period. Yellow are like fun things, or things that are like, I don't know, usually fun things, restful things, things that give you more energy. I have my meetings in this dark blue, and yeah, YouTube in red. And I'm not really gonna plan to schedule anything for Wednesday through Friday in the evening. I'm gonna keep those times open to spend with my wife and to kind of chill out in the evening, keep it open to where we can spend the evening however we want. We can go to the beach, watch sunset, go shopping, I don't know, play games, hang out, watch something at home. I try to keep all of my PhD work from between 8, which is around when my partner leaves to work, and then 5 when she comes back. So I try to make all of my PhD work fit into those periods. And another thing that I think is really important for when you're scheduling your work is to make sure that you're not like, I don't know, just making this thing jam-packed and super complicated with like meeting, or like tiny slot of this, tiny slot of this, an hour to this. I think that's a little bit more overwhelming and kind of less productive, because then you're just like switching tasks nonstop. Every time you switch to something else, your brain has to like take a little bit of time to like build focus and get ready for that switch every single time you're doing it. So I find it easier to just have deep work sessions, so like time blocking, chunks of 2 hours, usually at minimum, and up to 4 hours. I think that's probably as much as I can focus, at least for 4 hours on one thing at a given time without feeling like it's becoming unproductive or just less efficient towards the end, because you're just kind of getting a little bit burnt out, I think. So I basically just try to plan for one thing that I can do before lunch, one thing after lunch. The time in the middle around lunchtime, I don't always take a lunch, and definitely not a super long lunch break, but I like having that flexibility so that if I'm a little bit slow to get started in the morning, I know that I have that period in the middle of the day where I can keep working later and it doesn't totally ruin my schedule that I planned out, right? If you have everything by like the 30-minute marks, then it just seems like you're going to be missing things. And yeah, maybe this way works a little bit better. It allows for more flexibility. I also like to put in a flex period, so either a flex morning or an evening where I can catch up on anything else that didn't get done or deal with something else that came up that I was just not expecting. So sometimes maybe your advisor will throw something at you that they want, that is kind of urgent to them, that you get it done. But if you made your schedule like super full and jam-packed with things, then it's going to seem like impossible to fit this in. That's where the flex period becomes very useful. So I like doing that. It also just makes me feel a little bit less overwhelmed, just in case something takes a little bit longer than I kind of have accounted for. Yeah, I guess the space in the middle of the day, sometimes if I finish all of my work for the AM and it's lunchtime, I have my lunch, I have a little bit more time, sometimes I'll just quickly do a at-home workout, or you can start getting into your next task a little bit early. There's, yeah, no set rules. It just gives you a general idea when you should be working on what, and for roughly how much time you should be dedicating to that. Yeah, that's kind of it. Just put flex periods and also make sure that you're giving yourself time to rest and recover and like rejuvenate for the next week to come and the next days to come. So I try to plan like ideally 2, sometimes it's only 1 like workout a week, but then I also try to go surfing on the weekend. So yeah, a little bit of like movement, workout would be good. Also, just anything else that you find relaxing and restful, put that in there. Maybe it's like a Pilates class in the evening or painting in the evening, I don't know, whatever it is, just make sure that you also have that in your schedule so that you're dedicating time to work, but also to play and things that are going to give you more energy and make you, I don't know, just happier, healthier, and more fit to go into the next day's work. So that is it. I hope that you guys found this video useful. If you got any value out of it, please hit the like button and subscribe for more PhD related videos and life in Hawaii videos. See you in the next one.